What's up everybody? Today we're talking about this book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. This is a very classic work on nutrition. Very good reading for me as a nutrition coach, but I think for anyone, not just nutrition professionals, this is a very important book to read. He traveled 5 continents, he traveled almost like around the world to study these different original people, how these healthy people lived their lives, how they ate. He was studying both nutrition, like in terms of physical bodies, but also like dental, because he's a dentist. He also studied like dental caries and everything, so how much that affects their dental health, the way that they were eating. So we're talking about like original like Alaskan people or Indian people in America or South America, the original people in Australia, Africa. So he studied all of these different groups of people. We have a lot of things to cover here. It's not a short book, but totally worth reading every single page. But yeah, let's dive into the book. And he went through many countries here. Let me list all the countries he traveled. By the way, I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think he funded all of his travels himself. And obviously when you're writing a book like this, you're not getting paid to travel and write and study these people. This must have been years, if not decades of work. It's his life's work. You can get this book for like 10 euros or 20 euros or something like that, I think, in Amazon. I'm gonna link it, by the way, below this video if you want to order this. You'll see in the caption, in the description, where you buy this book. But he traveled to, I think this is in order, chronological order. He started in Switzerland, then studied the Gaelics, I think, which means Scotland, people in Scotland. Also Eskimos. Sorry, I've been a little bit sick. I don't know why I kind of lost my voice for a little bit. So Eskimos, North American Indians, Melanesians, Polynesians, African tribes, Australian Aborigines. He studied Torres Strait Islanders, New Zealand Maori, then the modernized, isolated and modernized Peruvian Indians. So of course he made a comparison of like isolated original people, who, what I mean by original people is like who haven't been eating any modern foods. They have been living like their ancestors, and then he compared them to modern people who eat like sugar, chocolate, candy, flavored milk, cereals, white bread, processed foods. Then I think that was the last group of people. Second half of the book is analyzing his findings on those travels. So there's a lot of chapters after he goes through all of those countries and already explains a lot of the findings during his journey there. Then he goes into more like detail later. But it's an interesting book to read. I think very nice reading, because there is like kind of this travel and this story and everything. Also, it's not just like pure like data. So I think it's very interesting to follow his travels around these different continents. So just to summarize the ideas here a little bit, a quick review. So first of all, highly recommend of course this book, but some ideas to summarize here, some practical takeaways. So he started with the Swiss, went to like a valley of people, maybe like 2,000 people living in this small valley. They are completely isolated from the modernized Swiss people, so they don't have the white bread and candies and so forth. What they were eating was mostly rye bread and dairy, so like cheese, milk, the products that they were farming there themselves, probably I think occasional like berries or something, vegetables from nature there, also what they were growing. But they were mainly eating dairy with rye bread and that combination was really working for them. They were really some of the healthiest people, almost no dental caries. I think he compared like the modern people with, in terms of like how many teeth are attacked by dental caries. So modern people have like a much higher percentage. I don't recall exactly the numbers, maybe like 40, 50, 60, even 70% of the tooth being attacked by dental caries, and the original people, there was even some people, I think the African people, who didn't have any teeth attacked by dental caries, and all the other ones he studied, also the original people, it was very minimal, like I think mostly under 1% of the tooth that he studied. And it has a lot of illustrations of pictures of people here also. He's comparing the teeth of the healthy people to modern people, and what you can find from the nutritional deficiencies, and that's of course the main reason why the modern food doesn't work so well for us, is that it lacks nutrients. So these people who ate the original foods, or like natural foods, not the processed white bread and candies and so forth, not only did they not have like all of that acidity of like sugars and white flour that can cause dental caries, but they also have sufficient amounts of nutrients like calcium, vitamin D, things like that, which modern people often lack. And the result is dental caries, but also physical degeneration. So that means even in people who don't eat enough nutrients, if they're children, when they're young, they become not fully developed adults. Their faces might be more narrow, their nostrils not completely developed, their jaw is smaller, their chin is smaller, making it also difficult to close the mouth, and like everything is not aligned. The teeth can be like, there's some pretty horrible looking pictures of people whose teeth are all over the place because they haven't been growing the right way. And then also physical bodies are getting weaker and weaker. You can see generation, or like mother and child, and you can see that they're or even sisters or brothers, seeing how their bodies become more narrow and weaker, child after child. But yeah, that was the finding from the Swiss people. Then the Gaelics in Scotland, they ate a lot of seafood actually from the sea, combining that with oats. So somehow these original people, they managed to like kind of know themselves how much food they need and what foods they need to be eating to get all the nutrients their bodies need. Animals also have this instinct, but modern humans have lost this instinct. I think mainly because of the reason that you can get a lot of calories or a lot of energy from food today without getting a lot of nutrients. So you actually satisfy yourself with your energy needs, while you might be significantly lacking certain things, maybe calcium or magnesium or iron or zinc or vitamin C or vitamin D. But we no longer recognize that. If you look at animals, let's say a pack of wolves would attack a deer, you would find that the wolves would actually attack first. I mean, the wolves would eat first the insides of the animal. So they would go for the liver and heart and so forth, because that's more nutrient dense. How many of us go to the grocery store and first go to like the seafood section, or look at the liver, or those like organ meats first, or go for the nuts or whole grains or something? Most people just go get like white bread, some sausages or something like that, and like all these processed foods that don't have any nutritional value, but come with a lot of calories. Then other interesting, I think most people here, not everyone, and this was interesting also, like how they managed, even though they were completely in different locations, some next to the sea, some not next to the sea, some in the north, some in the very south. So obviously they had to cope with what they have available. So like people in Peru and New Zealand, and those people, they had of course some fruit available. The Alaskan people and the Scottish people had a lot of seafood available. The Swiss people didn't have seafood available. The Peruvian people did have, and of course the like New Zealanders had seafood. So they had to manage with what they have. Yeah, but you find most of those people, they combine a lot of foods. There was no vegans, no really fully carnivore people. It was usually like seafood if they have it available, some meat, not usually like a lot of meat, but mostly like seafood, vegetables, berries, fruits, legumes, nuts if they were available. Of course, some of these people were really in harsh conditions, like the Alaskan people, so they had to deal mostly with the seafood that they have available, and some berries sometimes of the year. but most of the year, of course, is cold, winter, a lot of snow. They also ate a lot of fish eggs. Fish eggs are some of the most nutritionally or nutrient dense foods that you can ever find. I think he was talking also about fish oil being maybe the most nutrient dense food that he has ever analyzed in his laboratory, Weston A prize. But if you think about it, like fish eggs, you don't really need to eat a lot of fish eggs to get a lot of nutrients from those. Then compared to something like white bread, you would need to eat so much white bread that you would like split in half before you would even get all of the nutrient needs that you need from it. So that's like, I think that's the number one takeaway from this food is eat more nutrient dense foods. Don't eat the white bread and processed foods that during the processing of those foods they have lost their nutritional value. Eat the original, like natural organic foods, and eat those because they have still the nutrient value. Then we have, like, of course, Alaskan people, they ate a lot of salmon. Salmon is one of those foods that he recommends here because it's also good nutritional value. It was interesting to know the African people lived a little bit differently because they would also add blood to their diets. None of these other ones would. They would collect blood from a cow and drink it, and that way get their nutritional requirements. How many of us like really eat blood these days? I've tried that once in a soup, blood soup, but also that's a way to get the nutrition that you need. People used to live in a way where they would prioritize getting the nutrition that they need, not the taste that the food has, to the price of it or how easy it is to get or something. Sometimes, like, of course, like fish eggs and salmon is expensive, but you have to understand you kind of get what you pay for. Some of the foods that are more expensive in the grocery store are more expensive because they have more nutritional value. You're getting more nutrients from them. Some of them might be harder to find or harder to grow or something like that also, but it's also the nutritional value. Then interesting also was the Australian people, and all of these people, by the way, they were really skilled hunters, fishermen. All of these people had skills that we have like completely lost these days. None of us almost like could like just go to Australia and survive even probably for a day against the wild, and then like also find some fish or something from a river or something like that. Can you imagine? And these people live in conditions like that. They don't have any modern housing or security or any food stores or anything like that. They literally hunt, kill, fish, everything that they need. And it was interesting also with the Australian people. They literally had such healthy bodies that even their eyesight was so much better than us, that there's stars in the sky in space that we cannot see with our bare eyes. We need like a periscope or whatever that's called, that astrologists use. But these Australian people could actually see these stars just with their bare eyes, that modern people cannot even see. So that's how much better even their eyesight is. Then I find the Peruvian people also very interesting. They went to Peru. He and his wife were traveling together. That's why I'm saying they. They studied also the ancient Peruvian people, like the ancient civilizations, because of course Peru is one of those countries that, like, that's the place where some of the first people actually lived. So there's been people living there for a long time. It's fascinating, by the way, those so you like speculate what all of those Peruvian, like the temples and all of those, they call it the living stones and everything, how they actually managed to build those architects, everything there back in the day. He's talking a little bit about that, looking at their skulls. He's studying everything, the skulls, the teeth. There's some graves that he went to look at and found some skulls with perfect dental arcs, so their dental development is just perfect. Their skulls are also very strong. You can see that they had strong jaws and strong faces, whereas nutritionally deficient people usually have a small weak jaw. Even the middle of the face is a little bit sunken in because it's not fully formed, and they have long faces, small nostrils. The problem of mouth breathing is a modern thing. Normally people would have fully developed nostrils, but these days people who lack the nutrition that they need, they as kids, and also if their parents didn't eat nutritionally like good quality food when they were about to like give birth or even earlier, reproductive capabilities and also like the nutrition of the mother can significantly impact their children. So these days people have these problems of like mouth breathing, too small nostrils. But yeah, Peruvian people, they ate a lot of fish they got from the sea. They also had, of course, some fruits, vegetables. And you can see from these pictures that he shows here, like how perfect their teeth are. No caries, just perfect dental arcs. And these people, we got to understand, they don't even have a dentist around. They are like living somewhere in the middle of nature, middle of nowhere. Like today we take it as like granted that we need to go to the dentist every now and then. Like we have some dental caries we need to take care of, and I've certainly myself gone several times to the dentist to fix my teeth. I used to even have the like the iron thing they put in your mouth to like kind of help form the right kind of teeth. I think that's also because of the food that I was eating when I was younger. These people don't even need to go to the dentist because they have so healthy teeth. I don't even think they brush their teeth or have toothbrushes or toothpaste or anything available, which can be helpful, but the source of dental caries is the diet of the people. This is an example of Peruvian people who have adopted the modern diet, and you can see the difference, how their teeth are misformed. Some teeth are missing, they're losing teeth, young people already, and you can even see the facial form, their nostrils and their face shape is completely different. These people have a much healthier, wider, stronger face. So yeah, that was the last country he studied. Then he also elaborated on these findings that he went to this laboratory, and also of course like summarized all of these findings here and talked more about like nutritional deficiencies. So just briefly on these last chapters, like of course he talked about the fact, like I already mentioned, the problem with modern foods is that not only they have a lot of sugar, but also in the processing they lose the nutritional value. You get the calories without getting the nutrients. He even showed some animal examples of pigs that are not fed proper food and they're lacking vitamin A. And once they have babies, the babies don't actually even have eyeballs. They have usually some misformed bodies. Some cows had like an extra leg. Some bulls that usually have horns pointing up have horns pointing down because they're lacking, like I think, calcium, or the mother was lacking calcium. So this is one of the most important things also to understand here. If you are thinking of becoming a parent one day, whether you're man or woman, because both the man and the woman affect the child, the man's reproduction capabilities, your health, hormonal health and everything, that's going to impact your child. And also of course the mother, how she's going to eat before and during pregnancy is going to impact how the child is going to form. So you have huge responsibility to take care of proper nutrition, otherwise your children might suffer from that. Not fully formed faces, weak jaws, weak bodies, even such things like I think it's called, what was it called? It's somewhere here, the picture. These, what he calls, like back in the day, and this is, by the way, this is an old book. He wrote this very early, I think early 1900s or something. So that's why I have so much respect for this guy. So he traveled around the world. It must have been even like very cheap to travel back in the day or anything, and went to all of these countries. I think pretty interesting life also, seeing all of these different countries. But like I think these days people don't call people idiots anymore if they have, like, if they're retarded, but the other word that's used is, I think, I forgot what they call these people, but you can see them from the look. There's of course like these people who never really grow up mentally. They are not necessarily even really physically that much. They stay like the age of like a 5-year-old. Maybe you even know someone like that, but that's also a nutritional deficiency in childhood, but also in the mother or maybe even in the father before birth. And this is very unfortunate that some people cannot even take care of it themselves, because it's the parents' responsibility to have sufficient nutrition so that the child is healthy. So yeah, he's talking about some practical things here. Also, he talked about how criminals usually had parents who didn't take care of their nutrition, or sometimes it's also, of course, people just don't have the money or don't have the food available. That's why they don't eat enough. It's not always like just being careless, but or maybe also the knowledge of not knowing what they should be eating. But sometimes it's like people just don't have money to eat enough seafood or something like that, or they are not hunting it themselves or fishing themselves. But criminals also usually have, you can see it from their face. You study the faces of criminals, they have deformed faces because of nutritional deficiencies, or at birth already getting from the mother or the father, in like them getting not sufficient nutrition results in the children not being like mentally and physically fully capable to become like strong, healthy adults, and that's why they end up becoming criminals. So I think that's pretty much it. My quick summary of this book. Totally recommend this. This is again linked below this video. If you found this helpful, this video, give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel. I'll promise to make more book summaries like this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you guys very soon.